You're listening to the Valley Labor Report with David Story and Jacob Morrison.
Once again, I'm listening to the conservative. I don't know how you got me doing this, but now I'm hooked listening to it, just pointing out.
Just hate listening to WVNN.
I've never listened to it before. And
Right.
so it's kind of like, now that I'm listening to it, it provides a different perspective, I guess, than what I normally read. And it keeps me on my toes because I'm able to point out the hypocrisy of the talking heads. But what's bothered me the last couple of weeks, and you know as well as I do, I'm not by any stretch of the imagination a Biden supporter. He would have been one of my last picks had I been king for the
the Democratic primary.
Yeah. But here lately, all we've heard is the communist Democrats, the socialist Democrats, the far left are coming, and Marxism is a word that gets thrown around quite a lot. And I kind of wanted to point out the Constitution, specifically the preamble. It covers all of what we as a nation are supposed to be doing. What our rights are, what the government should be doing. And one of the things in there is provide for the common defense, which we do, I think, pretty well considering the amount of money we spend on defense. But right after that is promote the general welfare, promote the general welfare of the population. And to talk about promoting the general welfare specifically, it seems to me as it is easily read that even during the early stages of forming the United States, that the framers of the Constitution indicated that issues such as poverty, housing, food, and other economic and social welfare issues facing the citizens were a central concern. I mean, promote the general welfare wasn't hidden in one of the articles or buried down, far down.
Article 20, Section A, subsection I.
It's the preamble. It is the first sentence. Promote the general welfare. And then we've got all these people on the right calling the Democrats Marxists and communists for wanting to promote the general welfare. What they're inferring is that people would, like myself, like yourself, would like to use the tax money collected by the government to support the general welfare. I mean, I don't think it's not that too hard to understand. Mm-hmm. You're paying federal taxes. I'm paying federal taxes. Most people listening to this show is paying federal taxes. And the break has caught me here with 30 seconds to go. I'm nowhere near going to be able to finish this, but we'll talk about it at the top of the next segment.
Stay tuned. This is the Valley Labor Report.
You're listening to the Valley Labor Report.
Long-haired preachers come out every night. I try to tell you what's wrong and what's right. But when asked about something to eat, they will answer in voices so sweet. You will eat by and by, in that glorious land in the sky, way up high, working.
Welcome back to the Valley Labor Report. I love old Union folk music. It's some good stuff. That's Utah Phillips. He was a wobbly in the 60s, 70s, and 80s. He'd go on, tour singing at like union halls and stuff. He's pretty cool.
Picket lines.
What's that?
Picket lines.
Oh yeah. I've gone and sung on some picket lines before. It's been a lot of fun. I love it.
You did. I tell you what, you pulled out the stops. It was a professional performance. So when we left off, we were talking about federal taxes.
Yeah, we were talking about welfare.
Promotion of the general welfare.
Yeah, and I have a feeling I know where it's going.
Do you?
Yeah. Maybe
we were
because you
talking about
told me
Amazon a while
where
ago,
we were.
but yeah. So we were talking about, I pay taxes, you pay taxes. We've all paid federal taxes if you work for a living. Some of us may figure out a way to get around it, but most of us actually pay taxes. And I would like for our money to go to promote the general welfare of the citizenry. If you think about that for a second, it's money that the federal government collects. What are they doing with it? What does the right want them to do with it? What do the talking heads want them to do with it? They say, well, we shouldn't be for these socialist programs or these entitlement programs is what they've gotten to call them lately, along with Social Security that we paid into all of our lives for. But one of the major problems with the term welfare is it's construed as meaning social welfare. And with the rise of the new radical conservative movement over the past 10 to 15 years, but especially over the past 3 to 4 years, Republicans have coined the phrase entitlement programs. You've heard them use it for Social Security, something we paid into for our entire working lives. That's some type of entitlement program to them, some form of welfare to them. Look, folks, it's just like every other tax we pay. We should be getting a service for that. Otherwise, what's the point of paying taxes? What they've done here, though, is smoke and mirrors. They want to continue collecting these taxes from us, but if we want a service in return for those taxes, we're communists, or we're Marxists, or we're far-left radicals. The problem is, and what they're refusing to inform the general public, is that their entitlement programs is entitlement for the wealthy and scraps for the struggling workers. The Cato Institute, this is not a far-left organization. Happens to be very right-leaning.
Funded by the Koch brothers.
Funded by the Koch brothers. Not liberal fake media. They found in a report that $59 billion per year is spent on traditional social welfare programs, such as SNAP, housing subsidies, things like that. $59 billion per year. $92 billion per year is spent on corporate subsidies. The $92 billion represents 5% of the entire federal budget is going to corporate subsidies. So the government spends almost double on corporate welfare than it does on food stamps and housing assistance. You see, what the right wants you to think when they say government welfare is the proverbial welfare queen sitting on top of her majestic throne of government cheese, issuing a royal decree to her illegitimate babies that they shut the hell up while she tries to watch TV. However, the fact is, most of this government welfare goes to politically well-connected corporations that are parasitically draining their share of fiscal blood from mine and your paycheck before you ever see it. It's called corporate welfare. And the right are standing at the hog's trough, slinging out as much money as they can to corporate pigs. It's really sickening, taking our tax dollars, all the while corporations are paying people like the CEO of Walmart, C. Douglas McMillan, $20.9 million a year. General Motors had only paid federal taxes 3 years since 2010. 3 years since 2010 on $50 billion of income. Yet me and you are paying it every day. Amazon pays zero taxes on $11 billion of profits. And on top of paying zero taxes, received a rebate for $129 million from us out of our pocket. How does that make sense? But we're far leftists. We're Marxists. We're communists. If we ask for a service to be provided from our tax dollars. So what they're telling you is only half the story. And it gets better. Companies like Walmart, it pays such low wages that we pay another $6.2 billion a year in public assistance for their employees. So they're getting it coming and going. And we're footing the bill for it. But yet nobody wants to raise the minimum wage. You know, it's exploitation at its finest, and all the workers in this nation are paying for it, but yet we're the communists, we're the Marxists, we're the far left. The question is, who are the Marxists of the country? Who are the ticks and leeches that feed off the blood of the working class? Those that would support returning tax dollars in the form of services to those of us who work in this country, or those who would gladly continue giving it out to the corporate welfare queens. This is where we're at, folks. I'm going to tell you, I hate most of the Democrats as much as I do the Republicans because they're responsible for this as well. But please stop listening to those idiotic talking heads on right-wing radio, right-wing television, telling you that we're socialists, that we're Marxists, that we're communists for wanting a service in return for our tax dollars. Because they're doing nothing but blowing smoke up your butt. Simple as that. The 1% are getting rich. The 99% are getting absolutely nothing. They're not promoting the general welfare of America. They're enriching their buddies. So they'll continue donating to their re-election campaigns at the expense of all of us. Yep. But we're the communists here.
Right. I mean, like, some of us are socialists, but that's not what makes us socialist. You know, the like, oh, I think that in 21st century America, you shouldn't die because you're poor and have diabetes. Like, that's not what makes, you know, that just makes me a human who, like, cares about people. If I'm a socialist, there are other things that make me a socialist, but that's not it.
Well, that's just the point normal. Of the matter is, if you're going to call me a socialist for wanting a service for a tax that I pay, then what do you call the far right that continues to shovel all this money into corporate bank accounts at our expense? I mean, that's socialism at its finest, except for it's socialism for the 1%.
Right. It's really just, it's mind-numbing. It's mind-numbing, the stuff that you hear. And, I mean, like, it's just difficult to, it's difficult to know what to say because it's so silly. Like, I was listening to Noam Chomsky yesterday, and he, in an interview that he gave, and he was talking about how the far left radical, socialists in America, they have two central planks in their platform, and it is all residents of the country will have health care and you can have free education. Like, that's the crazy radical thing. And where do you see this? Where do you see other countries that have free health care or free education, free higher education? And it's like, well, an easier question to ask would be, what wealthy countries do you see that don't have free health care, that don't have free higher education? And when I say free, I swear if I get somebody that tweets me says, it's not free, our taxes pay for it. Like, it's like, I know what that means. Free at the point of service is what we mean when we say free healthcare. We know that people pay through taxes, and that is obviously a better way to pay for it, because if you compare our expenditures on healthcare to expenditures in other wealthy Western nations, Americans pay twice as much as other Western nations do for healthcare, and we get inferior product. And that's the truth. And that's something that you're not going to hear on, right-wing talk, but that's the truth. We pay twice as much as other countries do for healthcare, and we get an inferior product. Why is that? The reason is because we've got these corporate vulture leeching middlemen that called private insurance companies. Seriously, folks, the model of an insurance company, the way that insurance companies make a profit is by taking as much money as they can from you and paying for as little health care as possible. Like, that is the way that the thing happens. That's the way that they make money. And that's, look at the CEOs of, like, Blue Cross Blue Shield or I don't even know. That's the one.
Yeah,
that's the one in Alabama. There are others.
Yeah.
There are others, but they make tens of millions of dollars a year. Where does that money come from? That money literally comes from not giving you health care. That is evil. Okay? Okay, these companies are vultures, leeches, and I'm not talking about the people that answer the phones. They're just doing their job. They're just trying to make it in this dystopian world that we live in. And what I blame is the system, the people at the top who create a system where people can get obscenely wealthy by making sure that poor people don't have health care. That is what infuriates me.
What service do they provide?
That should infuriate you. They don't provide any service.
Exactly. They take money from us, they give money to the hospital, and they take a cut out of it in the middle. They don't provide a service whatsoever.
It's insane. If you just think about the system that we have in this country for literally 2 seconds, if you look at it, if you don't take it for granted that this is the system that we have, and therefore it's like God's given system. If you just take a step back and you evaluate the system that we have, it is illogical, it's immoral, and it's disgusting. It's disgusting that we live in the richest country in the history of the world, and having diabetes while you're a poor person is a death sentence.
Preach.
It's evil. It's evil. Like, insulin doesn't even cost that much money to make.
It was given. The dadgum patent was signed away.
Seriously.
It was given away.
It's disgusting. I mean, it's evil. The fact that somebody could have diabetes in this country and die because they don't have the money for insulin. But that's the system that we live in, and that's the system that the corporate oligarchs, the people who make tens of millions of dollars a year, the people who make hundreds of millions, the people who make billions of dollars a year, they want you to believe is the right system. That's the system that they pay their propagandists to sell you on. I don't know. It's
what's wrong. What's wrong
mind-boggling.
with the thought? It was just brought up a month or so ago that our tax dollars are being invested in millions of dollars in the coronavirus vaccine.
Yes.
What is wrong with the people getting a cut back out of that vaccine?
I can't remember who tweeted this out, but some just absolute fool said, when we get a coronavirus vaccine, you can thank capitalism for it. And it's like, all of the funding is being provided by taxpayers. Yeah. And then some big company is going to make profit. It's foolish. Foolish, foolish, foolish. This is the Valley Labor Report. Stay tuned.
You're listening to the Valley Labor Report with David Story and Jacob Morrison.
Thanks for tuning in. We appreciate your time. If you want to see what we're up to throughout the week and get our snide quips about the news of the day, then you should follow us on social media. We're on Facebook at facebook.com/Valley Labor Report. We're on Twitter at Labor Reporters. I'm on Twitter at JacobM_AL. David is on Twitter at Radical Unionist. That's spelled RADICL Unionist. If you missed part of the show and want to go back and watch it later, search YouTube for The Valley Labor Report and subscribe to our channel. You can go back and watch the full show there, and we also clip segments throughout the week. And we also upload the program on more than 11 different podcasting apps. So you can see if we're on your listening platform of choice. You can go to The Valley Labor Report. transistor.fm/subscribe. And if you appreciate our work and want to help us stay on the air, then consider throwing us a couple dollars a month on patreon.com/The Valley Labor Report.